Imagine a world in which your medical care is tailored just for you. Using information about your environment, history, and genetics, your doctors could customize your health care. For example, if your genetic information showed an increased risk for certain cancers, they could recommend a specific screening plan. If your genetic information showed you wouldn't respond well to a certain medication, they could prescribe you a different one. Doctors could better use genetic and other information about their patients to give the right people the right treatments at the right time. Every day we get closer to this goal, but we still have more to learn. Why? For starters, analyzing a person's genetic information is not as simple as you might think. Each person's genetic code, while overall very similar to everyone else's, has thousands of changes from person to person. These are part of what makes us unique. Some genetic changes may have no noticeable effect, or may contribute to minor differences between us, like eye color and blood type. Others may have significant impact on our health or development, such as the changes that cause conditions like cystic fibrosis or sickle cell anemia. Genetic testing laboratories try to categorize each change they find into groups based on what information is available about the change. If the lab finds compelling evidence that the change has no significant effect on health, they categorize it as benign. Likewise, if they're able to find significant evidence that the change causes a particular disease, they categorize it as pathogenic. However, this distinction is not always clear. For many genetic changes, there's simply not enough available information to put it in either category. When this happens, the change is categorized as uncertain. The more information available about genetic changes, the more laboratories can move changes from uncertain into the pathogenic or benign categories, making it easier for doctors to use that information to guide their patients' care. One of the best ways to help classify these changes and to gather more information is for laboratories to share their findings. When laboratories pool their information together, they are better able to learn from each other's experience. Many laboratories currently share a summary of the information they have about specific genetic changes with other doctors, laboratories, and researchers. This summary information is very generalized and does not contain any protected health information, such as names, dates of birth, medical record numbers, or doctors' names. The summary is created by merging information from many tests together and typically includes the total number of times the lab has seen a particular genetic change, a group description of the people they have seen it in, whether or not they think it's related to a specific genetic condition, and why. For example, a laboratory has seen a certain genetic change in 5 people they have tested. The change was found in 4 females and 1 male. Of those 5 individuals, 2 were Caucasian, 1 was African American, and the other 2 individuals' race or ethnicity was not specified. 4 of the 5 individuals had breast cancer, 1 had ovarian cancer, and 1 had developmental delay, which is not a typical symptom for people with changes in this gene. As you can see, we cannot tell which of the 5 people had each of these health problems. This is helpful, but it would be even more helpful if doctors and researchers knew more about each individual, not just the group as a whole. For example, which people had breast cancer? Which had ovarian cancer? Did anyone have both? Which one had the developmental delay? Does anyone have other unique genetic changes? Could those be causing their reported health issues? The broad data sharing form you received asks your permission to include some more specific individual information about any genetic changes you may have, and allow it to be organized in a way that helps answer these types of questions. If the people from the prior example had given the laboratory permission to share individual information, it might look something like this. You can now easily see the characteristics of the people with this particular change, the ways they are similar and the ways they are different. The organized individual information easily shows that the person with developmental delay has an additional genetic change that could be the cause of that part of her health history. The extra level of detail provides valuable information about potential effects of the genetic change. None of the participants' protected health information was made available. No one is easily identifiable, though you may recognize your own information or that of a family member. Choosing yes on the broad data sharing form allows your laboratory to share individual information, including general information about yourself, age, sex, race, ethnicity, your test results, and the reason your test was ordered. This would not include your personal identifying information. If you choose no, your individual information will not be shared, but it will still be a part of the general summary information labs currently share about genetic changes. Your laboratory may share individual information with two types of databases, and there are benefits to having information available in both types. An open access genetic database is publicly available to anyone with internet access and does not require a password. These databases are most often used by professionals involved in patient care that need quick and easy access to the information they are looking for. This is particularly important when a doctor is with a patient or when a laboratory is working on a case for which their interpretation is needed in a short time frame. Controlled access databases are not open to the general public. These types of databases are only available to approved users to use it for a specific purpose. These databases are most often used by researchers with a specific project already in mind. These projects are often not time sensitive, so it's easier to go through the full review and approval process. Because access is controlled, a laboratory may share more detailed information, such as a complete list of all changes found during genetic testing. Choosing yes on the broad data sharing consent form allows your individual information to be shared in both types of databases. If you are uncomfortable with this, you should consider choosing no or contacting your healthcare provider to talk through your concerns. When making your decision about participating in broad data sharing, it's important to consider the potential risks and benefits. A potential risk is the chance you could be identified from the information shared and that it could be used to discriminate against you in some way. Your privacy is very important to your laboratory, and because of this, they take measures to safeguard your personal information. Before anything is shared, your name, date of birth, and address are removed and a unique numerical code is assigned. This code is then securely stored within your testing laboratory, which greatly reduces risk to your privacy, but does not eliminate them completely. Since many genetic changes are rare, it's possible you could be one of only a few people in the world, or the only person with a particular genetic change. It's important to realize that the more widely you share your genetic and health information, the greater the possibility that you could be identified based on this alone. Keep in mind that simply telling people that you had genetic testing, even telling them the gene in which your change is located, is often not enough information to identify you. We believe the risk of being identified through sharing your individual information is low, but it is not impossible, particularly if you have directly shared this information with others. If you would like more detailed information about identification risks, visit clinicalgenome.org/risks. If for any reason someone were to identify you, a federal law called the Genetic Information Non-Discrimination Act has been put into place to protect you against discrimination by health insurance companies, group health plans, and most, but not all, employers. Currently, no federal legislation is in place to cover discrimination by life, disability, or long-term insurance carriers. Laws in each individual state dedicated to genetic information, privacy, and non-discrimination vary. To learn more about the laws in your state, visit clinicalgenome.org/laws. Though you might not see any immediate personal benefits, your participation may help you, members of your family, and others with the same genetic change or disease in the future by improving understanding of genetics and health. Some people choose to share because they're interested in connecting with researchers, clinicians, or patients. If you're interested in making these types of connections, we encourage you to register with a patient advocacy organization or registry, such as genomeconnect.org. These organizations make it easier for others to connect with you. Typically, they act as middlemen to inform you of available opportunities so that others don't have direct access to your contact information. The organization will notify you if anyone wishes to connect with you, and it will be up to you whether or not you respond. To see a list of patient support organizations, go to clinicalgenome.org/support. We hope you found this video helpful and informative as you make your decision. We encourage you to watch the other stories of how data sharing has helped doctors, laboratories, and patients. Please contact your healthcare provider if you have any additional questions, or contact our team at share@clinicalgenome.org.